Yeah, you mentioned a little bit about the history of Soto, but if we can get to know a little bit about the Soto, that would be great. So, can you tell us?
Well, the Soto, or Caodong in Chinese, goes back to its founders in China, the Soto lineage. There are many different lineages in Zen. So it's not that our lineage is the only lineage, and we study teachers from other lineage, and part of Soto Zen, appreciating the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and the Buddhist statues, but also appreciating the ancestors. We say the Buddha ancestors, the lineage of people going back to Shakyamuni Buddha 2,500 years ago, who kept this alive in every generation, who kept this practice and teaching alive in every generation. So in China and then in Japan, lineages was very important, less so before in India. But the Soto or Caodong lineage, we could say started. We could say it's often said that it started with a Chinese master named Dongshan Liangzhe, or in Japanese Tozan Ryokai, and there are lots of books you can look this up in. You don't have to remember this all. But Dongshan lived in the 800s, and he is credited with founding this branch, this particular lineage of Zen. There are many other good, wonderful lineages of Zen. But in some ways, the name Caodong or Soto goes back before him to the sixth ancestor, Huineng, who there's a sutra about him, but he was an illiterate woodcutter from Canton in the south. So the point is not some great learning or understanding. Anybody can awaken at any point to this reality. And it's not that, so in other schools of Zen, they emphasized what I think you meant by sudden, having some sudden, flashy, dynamic experience of realization or of understanding or of seeing Buddha or something like that. That happens in Soto Zen too, but we don't emphasize that. That's not the point. The point is, how do we bring our deeper awareness and communion with ultimate reality into everyday activity, into our world? So for me, Chicago in 2018, how do we express Buddha in this life, in this world, in this place? But the lineage goes back to Dongshan, and then the sixth ancestors. There were several ancestors before him, going back to the sixth ancestor, all of whom we study, amongst many others. And one thing that they emphasized was not getting caught up in stages. The sense of this immediate awareness of deeper reality that's always available. So it's not about stages of accomplishment and then you get higher. It's not about getting high. It's something that is present. But our practice is to deepen our realization of that and our expression of that. And then there were many teachers in the lineage between Dongshan and Dogen, who was a Japanese monk in the 1200s, 1200 to 1253 are his dates. He went to China and studied for 4 years, and then met a Soto or Caodong teacher and brought back that teaching to Japan and founded what's now called Soto Zen. He didn't call it that, but this lineage that he founded then over many, many, many generations eventually came to America through my teacher's teacher, Suzuki Roshi, but also other wonderful Soto Zen teachers from Japan who came to America in the 60s and since. So Dogen is an important figure. I've translated a lot of his writings and written books about him. His teachings, he left a large body of writings, very long, maybe more than any Zen teacher. A couple of huge different volumes, but his writing is very difficult to understand. It's kind of like reading for American people trying to read Chaucer or maybe Beowulf. It's in very old Japanese. So, but there are many translations now available, decent translations in English. So So part of what we do in Soto is also study Dogen, but also the basic teachings of Mahayana Buddhism and the sutras and the Bodhisattva teachings, and also many other great Zen masters from various lineages, not just from Soto. So there's a lot I can say about Dogen and his teachings and about other Soto teachings. The other thing about Dogen is he was a prodigy. You know, he was like Mozart or Beethoven or Shakespeare or somebody like that. He when he was 12, he had read all of the Buddhist canon, and when he went to China, he learned all of the koan literature, the old teaching stories. So he brought that back to Japan. He introduced it to Japan. So most of his writings are commenting on these old teaching stories, koans they're called,